Hello, this is Johnny Norris, and welcome to the Norris Roundtable discussion of facts about the civil rights movement. Can you guys tell me about the Jim Crow's laws?
It was between 1877 to the 1950s.
It was in the South, the laws that segregated African Americans after the Civil War.
It was laws or rules that made people, white people not use, or African Americans and white people not use the same bathrooms, restaurants, grocery stores. So it separated everybody.
What about the Plessy versus Ferguson?
It was May 18th, 1896.
That was the U.S. Supreme Court, separate but equal laws.
And then that was tried mostly by a gentleman that was 7/8 white. He was 1/8 black, and they wanted to see if he could ride a train. And he actually got arrested for sitting in the white section. That was kind of tough because they wanted to do separate but equal, but they really couldn't afford 2 train cars. So that's why he got arrested.
Okay. So what was the Brown versus Board of Education?
It was May 17th, 1954.
Well, it ordered that segregation was illegal for schools. There was no separate but equal. This was equal, and this was in Topeka, Kansas.
So what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring all the kids together, no matter what color, race, or gender, and put them all in one school. That's what they really wanted to accomplish.
So who then was Rosa Parks?
It was December 1st, 1955.
In Montgomery, Alabama, she would not give up her seat on the bus.
And so what happened, she wouldn't give up her seat to a white person, and so she felt rather than going back to the back of the bus, she had a right to sit where she was, and then she was arrested.
What were the Montgomery bus boycotts?
No.
December
What was that?
2nd.
Right here. December?
Oh, I'm sorry. December 2nd, 1955 to November 13th, 1956.
The U.S. court ruled it unconstitutional to segregate in transportation.
So what they did is they organized, all of the African Americans organized, they called African taxis, but mostly everybody just walked to work for 13 months to finally break it, and it was done under a Constitution amendment. Okay?
What is the Civil Rights Act?
It was September 9th, 1957.
That's when President Eisenhower signed this act that gave all men civil rights.
And, he did that because whether you were black, white, Mexican, Italian, or whatever, he wanted to make sure everybody in the United States had civil rights.
Who was Martin Luther King with the SCLC?
What did I even say?
Okay.
What does that
He
say?
died.
Oh, it died April 4th, 1968.
The SCLC was the Southern Christian Leadership Council. Martin Luther King gave a famous speech beginning with, "I have a dream."
What Martin Luther King was, he would go to town as the leader of the SCLC and help with any causes that people would have, African Americans, whether it be buses, whether it be, counters, or however. He wanted to make sure that everybody was equal. And he gave a speech of freedom and that we shall overcome.
Little Rock, Arkansas High School.
September 4th, 1957.
Yep. So Orville Favis they brought in the National Guard. The president called in the U.S. troops to escort the Little Rock Nine.
And that was on September 2nd, 1957.
Very good. Now, what Orville did is he called in the National Guard to keep the 9 out of school, but that did not work. And the president said, no, we cannot do that. And so the president overrode and sent in U.S. troops, and he actually escorted the Little Rock 9 to school, from school, and into the classes, because he wanted to enforce that everybody was getting equal rights. Okay?
So, who was the NAACP?
The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
And what they did is they went from town to town. It was a national organization of prominent African Americans, and they went from town to town rallying all of the African Americans to help with their civil rights.
And who was the KKK?
KKK was a white supremacist group that tried to keep the blacks at bay. They were in favor of continuing segregation.
And one of their signs, they wanted to do it under the guise of masks. They all wear hooded capes, and they thought that they were Christian, and so they would burn crosses. So not a very favorable group, but the civil rights, what we'll find, and we'll go on early and further into the discussion next week, we'll find that the NAACP and the KKK were at odds quite a bit. Thank you very much. This ends this section of the Norris Roundtable. Thank you.
All right, goodbye.
Okay, Johnny.